Welcome back to the Rise Above podcast. I'm your host, Will Lambley, and today, for anyone watching this on YouTube, you can see that we're in a new location as we're at New Life Church. We really appreciate Seth Tomboli opening up their facilities for us. I feel like we're more like an ESPN setup than anything, but we're so excited to be joined by former Arkansas golfer, now professional golfer, Wil Gibson. First off, Will, thank you for being on with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for being patient this summer. I know we tried to set this up a while ago.
No, I really appreciate you because whenever you texted me last week about getting on for a podcast, I'm like, man, this is perfect timing.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit we were talking about beforehand of some different golf courses you've golfed at. Do you have any favorite places you've golfed at? Because I know golfing with the Razorbacks and now professionally, you've definitely golfed at some nicer ones.
Right. Now, I've been fortunate to go play some really nice courses. I mean, the best course I ever played was I had a neat opportunity to go play Augusta National. So that was probably one of the neatest things I've ever done. And definitely a lifetime opportunity. And so I got to go with a few of the guys on the team. And actually one of my teammates was going to play in the Masters that year. So he was using that as a practice round. So we went and played 72 holes there. And it was unbelievable. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life.
I bet. Yeah, I don't have a ton of golf knowledge, but from what I've heard about Augusta, don't you have to be selected to play there? Or
So,
you can't just pay to play there?
Right. No, it's extremely private. So it's really hard to get into. I mean, I'm not sure the exact number of members, but it's a very hard process. And, I mean, it's not many people in the world are ever going to be selected to go either play there or become a member. But you can also play in the Masters. So hopefully one day I'll be playing in the Masters to go back and get to play it. But
yeah, that'd be awesome. I just know the Masters, that's where you get the green jacket.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we played a college tournament at Pebble Beach, and that was that place was awesome. I mean, it was a course where I tell everybody, like, you were just walking around, and it doesn't matter if I have the worst round of my life, I'll probably be smiling.
Yeah, no, I bet that was so nice. And
Yeah.
What I kind of thought about before our podcast is, like, golf, unlike every other sport, like, it takes so much technique. And I'm sure, like, with you getting started in golf, I'm sure there was someone that first introduced you to it. Who was kind of the first people that introduced you to golf at a young age?
Yeah, so when I was a little baby, I mean, just starting to walk, not even starting to walk, probably before I could walk, my grandpa had me swinging little plastic clubs at his house and watching golf, watching a lot of Tiger Woods. That was right around the time of his prime, whenever I was 3 years old. So just watching a lot of golf with him, and then as I got older, he would take me out, and then he taught me pretty much the how to start playing, all the fundamentals, and then started playing in tournaments when I was like 6, and so I'd travel with him, but I've also, I mean, everyone in my family's been very supportive of me to travel with me to tournaments and help support me at a young age to kind of feed this addiction pretty much.
Yeah. So growing up watching Tiger Woods, did you at a young age put to use any of those celebrations that he would do?
No, I don't think my fist pump's as good as Tiger Woods. I mean, now you just watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when I'm struggling with putting, I'll go watch a few Tiger, some of his old putt, like I'm trying to think of one, that like 2008 Torrey Pines, when he made that putt to force the playoff. I watch that all the time. It's kind of engraved in my mind at this point.
Yeah, Tiger's definitely. We were even talking about him in a sports media class today, but maybe not for the best reasons. But
yeah.
No, but he's definitely an amazing.
In terms
golfer.
of golf, it's awesome.
Amazing golfer, and
no doubt about it.
Growing up, I know you talked about how your grandpa introduced you to golf.
Yeah.
What were kind of some of the reasons like you kept playing golf? Because I'm sure like it can be a very discouraging sport at times.
Yeah. So I grew up in Jonesboro, and we lived right off the golf course at Jonesboro Country Club, and had a lot of friends that. In the summer, we'd go out and play all summer. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, be walking out to the golf course with my little push cart, and we'd go play as many holes as we could until dark. And that just was pretty much how I learned how to have fun with the game with a lot of friends, and just being able to go out there and enjoy it, enjoy being outside. And, it can get pretty technical at times and pretty frustrating, but going back to that and doing things that makes this game a lot of fun, like playing with friends, and just I still talk to my grandpa a lot, and even when I'm frustrated, and he'll help me get out of a funk, and even talk to my parents. I mean, really, my family's been so supportive of me. So just enjoying. I've been able to travel with them, playing golf as well. So I mean, just great memories to look back on.
Yeah, I'm sure some of those times
Yeah.
looking back on,
Yeah.
I know for me a lot of memories growing up when I was playing catch the baseball with my dad or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I might have took that for granted because looking back, those are some of the best times of my life.
Oh yeah, yeah. My grandpa doesn't get to play much anymore, but I always think back about times when I played with my grandpa, or go out and play with my brother, play with my dad. It's a lot of fun. It's a good sport because it's something I can continue to play, hopefully as long as I'm healthy. But I mean, just being able to just go play 9, it's just really a blessing to be able to do.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, and especially I'm sure when you're able to play against someone that it didn't golf college at the college level, it helps your confidence too. Whenever you're going through some droughts, but
Yeah.
well, one of the main reasons that I was so excited about getting on the podcast was because a clip I saw FCA did about you talking about your faith. At what age were you kind of introduced to faith, and what does that kind of mean to you?
Yeah. I was fortunate. Both of my parents got me involved in church very early. They've been a huge role models for me to set a foundation in my faith. But I mean, I guess it wasn't always like that. It was at a young age they really taught me how to live and how to put Jesus first. But then I guess they can't really show you forever. You have to decide for yourself. So part of my testimony is when I got to let's say high school, like that age where you have to really figure out on your own who you are. Kind of fell in with. I'm still friends with a lot of the guys, but just kind of fell into I guess a way of living without Jesus, and so going through that, it was very important for me to learn how to I guess go from living without Jesus to now living with Jesus. But got to college and was pretty lost, didn't know who I was, and I got in touch with Ryan Folks, and he told me, I guess we kind of decided I was trying to fill a God-shaped hole in my heart, and just filling with very earthly things, just very short-term happiness, pretty much, and then filled that. I gave my life back to. I rededicated myself to Christ, and felt a lot of wholeness in my heart.
That's awesome. And would you say whenever you rededicate your life to Christ, that kind of changed how you approached even golf?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Because that was one thing I really struggled with was without golf, realizing who I was. Like if you took my clubs away, I wouldn't know who I was. Golf had been my entire life, and so realizing that I'm blessed to play this sport, but I've got a whole different purpose in life, as well as following Jesus, and I mean, yeah, it just gives you a whole new perspective as well.
Yeah, it's definitely so freeing because even for me, like I accepted Christ when I was 8, but from the time I was 8 to 16, like I was kind of trying to do life by myself, but like always looking for that extra thing that would bring me happiness or satisfaction, whatever it was. But like you talked about, when you rededicate your life to Christ, when I was 16, started losing my sight, so I really realized when I started following Christ, it didn't mean things are gonna be great, but it didn't mean you could have a joy and just a peace and perspective that you just can't find anywhere in the world.
No, it hasn't been the easiest road for sure, but just looking back, I kind of reflected on it about a week ago. Actually, I was just reflecting and realized how far I'd come since that day. I felt like God showed me a lot of patience. Just looking back, realizing that it's not going to just immediately change everything, but over time, continue to grow and learn more and to become more like Jesus.
Yep. And whenever you made that decision to rededicate your life to Christ, was that the beginning of you said you're meeting with Ryan, who works for FCA on campus, Arkansas. Was it at the beginning of when you started college and everything?
So it was actually my sophomore year. I guess it was sophomore. Yeah, it was.
It probably feels like
so
long.
That's
so
the thing
short
now.
ago.
It's like, it was a few years ago. I'm like, oh man, it was actually like 4 or 5 years ago. But now I reached a point where golf wasn't going the way I wanted it to, and I obviously wanted to play better. I wanted all these things, and just was feeling so much emptiness and just I wasn't getting anything out of it really. And so just kind of broke down and just like said, Lord, I need you. I really, really do. And so that's whenever I got in touch with Ryan after that.
That's awesome. And whenever you got in touch with Ryan, did it kind of like show you in that moment like the importance of like that community? Because I know before we were talking about how like, you got involved with FCA too.
Yeah, no, I surrounded myself with a good community. I met a lot of great guys in FCA, and also this past year I don't know if you've ever heard of College Golf Fellowship. Met a lot of great guys that were on that tour. They're also following Christ, and really found a community. Just trying to surround myself with other people that I can relate to, and also help through tough times. Like I feel like it's easier to talk with people because a lot of times, especially in golf, you're all alone. Like not all alone on the course, but you're by yourself from
it's literally just you.
Good majority of the time. So it's just learning how to turn isolation into solitude on the golf course, but also off the course, talking to people, talking through things, just being able to, especially with other golfers as well, and also with Ryan, where you're talking in FCA with a lot of other athletes. Other athletes also really struggle with who they are outside of their sport, and really their why they do these things. And so it's good to talk through things.
Yeah, and I'm sure it really helped. And can you speak a little bit towards how you got involved? And you said it was college golf fellowship. That was college? Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly involved in college golf. They'll have regional guys. There isn't anybody in Fayetteville, but I think there's a guy in Oklahoma City. So I was more involved with FCA in college. But now they'll travel to some college tournaments. Like I met a few guys at a college tournament in Virginia, but it's a great organization. It's very similar to FCA, and I think it's Athletes in Action.
Okay.
I think that was here when I was a freshman.
AAI or something like that?
Yeah. Just organizations like that. We had a weekly Bible study this past summer on the tour, and was able just to plug in to the Bible with a bunch of guys, and it was really good to be able to I guess I can call them lifelong friends now, and they'll try to support tours, but it's mainly college golf. But they'll have a guy travel to each tournament on the America's Tour, and then a Korn Ferry and PGA.
Okay.
So each tour every week, they'll have a Bible study every Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know we talked a little bit beforehand about we were talking about how interested you are in like sports psychology, and how obviously for golf, kind of like I mentioned to you, kicking and football, it's so psychological, like so much is your mindset. And doing that Bible study weekly with other college golfers, did you see ways that helped you like psychologically, or I don't know how to say that word, but psychologically while you were golfing?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like I said, a lot of guys, like when they're struggling with golf, feel isolated on the golf course. So just being on the course and considering it solitude, where you're walking down the fairway, it's honestly just a long walk. So you're walking down the fairway and just kind of, like, I like to just look around and and just look around and be like, wow, like, my God, your creation is beautiful. I mean, it's just great to be able to just walk and just give thanks. And I like to recognize trees just to take my mind off of some shot I'm about to hit, just to kind of take my mind. So talking with other golfers through that, just being able to give thanks, and also, I mean, a lot of guys are very new. Like there are a lot of guys that joined that had never really been plugged into church before. So a lot of the Bible studies were kind of showing them the way of how to live, not by your score, but instead live through Jesus.
You know, I'm sure by like just you being able to share your testimony with those guys too, of how like you've tried living life based on your score, but you're not able to be fulfilled by that.
Yeah.
Was just able to help like them too, seeing guys like you, and then was able to help you too, being able to share that hope you have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in golf, you almost, as a golfer, you're almost expecting perfection. Going out and like I guess perfection would be 18 birdies, but so it's like a continuous grind of just trying to get better, working on things, and I mean it also just kind of relates back to my faith to where like I'm not perfect at all and I don't deserve Jesus, but thankfully we're saved through Him. So that's what a lot of the guys didn't really understand was the fact that no matter what they shoot, no matter what they're doing in life or where they're at, Jesus saves.
Yeah, and do you have any stories from maybe like your time at Arkansas or now golfing professionally where maybe golf wasn't going great at the time, but you were able to have a peace just because like you knew like your hope was in Jesus?
Yeah. I can't think of like an exact time, but there was a few times where oh man, actually I can think of a time whenever it was my 5th year, and in that 5th year I was hoping for great things, and I started out just not doing good. Probably had one of my worst semesters.
I feel like that's one of the worst feelings in sports.
Oh,
like you expect things to go one way,
like
then it's just not.
I was like, we had a home tournament and a few great opportunities for me to really have a good stretch of tournaments and create some momentum for us going into the spring semester. And man, I just wasn't doing it. And we played our home tournament, played bad, and I got benched the next week. And so I used that week to just go back. I went back home, and I just spent a week just not with my clubs, and just I like to hunt a lot, so I went deer hunting, just sat in the deer stand, read my Bible, and was just in solitude with God.
That's awesome, and I think that's really cool because sometimes like in life, I know I'm so guilty of this. We think things are going to go a certain way, and if it doesn't, it's almost like, God, like what in the world? But it's cool to see in those times, like sometimes like God is calling us to like maybe we need to slow down and see what does He have for us. And in that time, was there some things that God showed you that, man, this is what God wants out of me?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of it exactly, but and I mean in that time, I guess I still relied on my golf to help me get through in life, just be confident in life, and I really, I guess in that time set aside some time to realize that I'm not defined by my golf score. I'm not defined by golf or anything I do in this life. I'm more defined by my relationship with Christ and a child of God. And so like during that time, just being able to look back and I feel like He gave me insight to improve mentally, not I guess have a different look on the course and off the course. So it was a good time to be able to grow. And I've definitely grown a lot in the past few years, just looking back.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny how sometimes like the things we don't want to happen is really like what God's using to help us grow to become the person that He wants us to be.
Yeah.
Or something we were doing a Bible study the other day. It was in Romans 5:3-5, which I memorized the other day. Hopefully it comes back to my mind. It said, not only that, but we glory in our suffering because suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame because God's love is to be poured onto us through the Holy Spirit who's been given to us. And I think that's what's cool about like so you talking about those challenges you had in golf, but during that time you were able to sit back and realize that God was doing something in your life to help you grow and grow closer to Him. And now that's even able to help you while you go out to golf and while you do anything in your life.
Yeah. The funny thing about that was in that time is whenever I really hung on to Joshua 1:9. And the funniest thing about that was whenever I was a freshman moving into my dorm in Fayetteville, my parents helped me move in, and obviously I was so excited to be in Fayetteville. But my mom pointed out, like uh, on my little board. It was like one of those things that you pinpoint stuff on the walls. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it's like a little board. And somebody wrote in Sharpie Josh 1-9. My mom pointed that out, and so then she pointed that out, and then I really didn't think much of it. And at the time, I wasn't really looking at that. And then a few years later, that verse just hit me so hard, and then I really thought back on that moment. I think my mom actually pointed it out, and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty funny."
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think God's pretty funny. Yeah, just looking back on that, and a few years later, and it being so important, and it was there the whole time, my entire freshman year, when I needed it the most.
And that's the verse where it says, like, be strong and courageous.
Yeah. It's like, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you always.
That's so cool. And even at times where maybe you didn't think you're following Christ, and you could see that, man, God was still with you. So that was like perfect verse.
Yeah,
God just put literally in your life right when you moved in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
my mom likes to talk about that. It's pretty neat just to look back and realize it was there the whole time. Like, obviously, I didn't deserve it, but the Lord loved me even when I didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I think that was awesome for just anyone in our life, no matter where we're at in our walk with Christ. Or if we don't have walk with Christ, like, God is always right there, and reminds me a lot of like Romans 10:9, which tells us people that aren't Christians exactly, literally how to become a Christian, where it says, when you confess with your heart that Jesus is Lord, and believe that God raised him from the dead, then you will be saved. And I love that, because, I mean, that literally tells us, like, man, no matter what you do, that you will be saved.
Right.
And, like, your life will obviously be changed forever. And looking back on your time at Arkansas, as you mentioned you were at Arkansas for 5 years because of COVID, right? Or was it red
so my
shirts?
5th year was because of COVID.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was redshirting during COVID, but then
that was your red shirt. You're during COVID.
But then COVID
Okay,
happened, so then I didn't. It was the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, dang, that's like the same thing. So they kind of cancel out. But looking back in your time at Arkansas, is there like some best memories you have, or?
When we won the SEC match play, that was so exciting. Yeah, just because it wasn't always easy for us. I guess we always had good teams, but we always made it hard on ourselves. And so we finally got that win and beat a really good Vanderbilt team, and that was one of the most exciting parts of school. Another exciting moment, I met my girlfriend in Fayetteville. So
you can't beat that.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good part. But yeah, I mean, just beating Texas in football was also pretty neat. Just a college experience in Fayetteville. Fayetteville's such a neat town, and then I grew up a lifelong Hog fan.
I was going to say that.
So just
from Jonesboro,
being able to go to Hog games, and I'm still a huge fan. So living up here, going to games is a huge bonus for me to stay. And like my dad went here, so it was a big reason why I came up here.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it was just like a dream of yours when you got up here. And then you said SEC match play. Is that kind of like the SEC tournament, or is there just like a match?
Yeah, so they started that a few years ago. So there's the SEC tournament in the spring, and they started a SEC match play, whereas in the spring it's stroke play, so everyone's playing 54 holes over 3 days, and then you have 2 days of match play. But in the fall, it's strictly match play based off your ranking. So you immediately go into match play. It's a good experience, but we actually we won SECs my freshman year, and I was there, but I was traveling as the 6th man. I wasn't on the team. I was being used as an alternate.
And they travel 5, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so the 5 play, and then they always take a 6th just in case. Like someone gets injured, I have to step in. So I watched it, and that was a huge motivator for me to be able to go back and win again. Unfortunately, we didn't win SECs after that, but I mean, just being able to watch us win, I got a ring for it too, so it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And moving forward, I know we talked a little bit. You got back from Canada last week, right?
Yeah, I got back last Monday. Yeah. So.
And then moving forward, I know you talked a little bit about like the Masters or just golfing professionally. Is there like any goals you have for yourself?
Yeah. Right now, like my ultimate goal is making it on the PGA Tour, and I've got goals past that, but up to now, I'm working to that right now, and got certain steps. Like right now, I've got Q school in the fall, so I've got a goal of making it to final stage, and then earning status on either PGA or Korn Ferry, and but I guess that's the great thing about golf is I'm always making goals and striving for those goals.
Yeah, with everything you mentioned, I'm like, man, there's so many different steps you gotta get to.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not. I work towards a lot of different goals, and I fall short to quite a few of them. But the ones that I accomplish are pretty satisfying. But yeah, right now working my way up to the PGA, and who knows how long that'll take, but I've dedicated the time and effort to work towards that, but it's not my plan, so
Exactly, that's
just
awesome.
working.
Yeah. And you said like the time, like so in like an average week, like how many like hours do you think you usually golf, or like every day?
Yeah, I don't even think about it that way at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it just flies by.
I go out and just I mean, I enjoy practicing, and so it's peaceful just to be able to go out there and practice as well. But man, I mean, I'll usually get out there depends on when I work out. Sometimes I work out in the morning, sometimes I work out in the afternoon. It kind of depends on if I have friends that or teammates that wanted to go play. So I typically my ideal day I'll go practice at about 8 to 11:30, and then play in the afternoon. So I mean, I'm pretty much filling up my entire day, but I enjoy it. So I don't really think about it as work, to be honest. I'm lucky enough to do it as an occupation right now, but I haven't thought about it as work one time. My dad jokes about it, like, you better head to the office, but I just enjoy it. I enjoy going to the office.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was assuming there's a lot of hours because like I haven't like officially like golfed around or anything, but like I've been with some of my friends, and like I know like I think it's 18 holes when they golf. It usually takes at least like 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if that sounds right. I don't know if they're just slow or fast.
No. Yeah. I mean, when we go play, we'll play as fast as we can. I'm not the fastest player, but my roommate is crazy fast. Like I'm slowing him down. But we'll play 18 holes in probably 3.5 hours in carts. But in tournaments, I mean, guys are really grinding, so it could be a lot longer than that. I mean, you're probably looking at 4 hours at best in tournaments, but in the slow rounds, it could be up to 6. Those are the brutal rounds. You're waiting a lot, and just kind of obviously you're probably playing behind a really slow player, so trying not to get frustrated at him.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And then moving forward, whether it's after your time at Arkansas as it's finished, or in your time professionally, if there's one thing that people can know you for, what would you want that to be?
I kind of thought about that. I mean, that was one thing I really kind of fumbled with and I wrestled with, and when I was really trying to figure out my why, and I really thought about that, and because a lot of people know me as a golfer, but I'm a lot of other things as well, like I'm brother, son, boyfriend. So, but man, I guess the people that don't really know me, like, it's okay to be known as the golfer, but if I can redirect that to Christ, then I'm happy about that, and that's one thing that I would love to be known for. Like, yeah, I mean that's the best I can put it. But
no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's
good. I really thought about that because it's
definitely a hard question.
It's such a simple question, but it's so hard to answer that because you sometimes you automatically think about your occupation as to, all right, who am I? But yeah, in my heart, I'm a child of God. I'm not a golfer. But if I can use my stage, I guess you could say stage, but if I could use my what platform I have to direct it to Jesus, then that's what I'd want to be known for.
Yeah, that was awesome, and what's so awesome about that is it's such a ripple effect too, because you never know like how one person coming to Christ, then how it could change their life, and you just truly never know. I was thinking about that in class today. We were talking about, I was in world religion class, and I don't think my world religion class teacher listens to this podcast, but I probably should have been thinking about what was going on in class, but I was just thinking about, like, people in my life. Yeah, I was thinking about people in my life. There's just, like when I moved to college, like how times were really hard. I didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to navigate around different areas, being blind for 2 years. But just the encouragement of different people that were encouraging me to get in the community or follow Christ, and like how that just it's inspired me, which I almost felt like God's calling me to like then encourage others because of what other people have done for me. And like you never know what you can do. So I love that just about pointing others to Christ, because you just truly never know that ripple effect.
Right.
And there's a verse I know in Luke where it says faith the size of a mustard seed, which I felt a mustard seed, but I'm assuming it's really small. Faith size of a mustard seed can move a mountain, and I just love that so much. And because you truly never know what God can do in one person's life, then another to another,
right.
And eventually you never know. But going off that question, the last question I love to ask in this podcast, being the Rise Above podcast, is obviously I know everyone listens to this knows that in everyone's life there will be a time where it just feels like you're just lost, and it just seems so hard to overcome your circumstance, whether you're facing that right now, listen to this podcast, or you will face that in the future. And Will, what's kind of an encouraging message you'd have for someone facing a situation where they just don't know where the next step leads?
Yeah. I would direct that to what I learned from when I was going through a hard time with golf and just with life. Just like when I'm on the course, like I said, just when I'm able to walk and look around and just admire God's creation. A lot of times, like when I was in school and like when people at work, when I was in school, I felt alone or was stuck in a classroom, stuck inside. And so just going on a walk and just admiring, giving thanks, just walking around, just saying, wow, like, God, you're amazing. Just being able to go out there and in life just be in solitude on your walk, and instead of isolation. That's one thing that helped me, and I think that also can help others. And also talking to people. Like, you're never alone, and a lot of people that think they're alone just kind of keep them to themselves. But a lot of people go through, like, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. We all go through similar trials. So just being able to talk with other people and having a mentor like Ryan was with me, like he helped me get out through a hard time, and just being that, if I could be that to someone else as well. But yeah, that's a good way to get out of that funk of college, because I was talking with a friend, and we were talking about how, like, sometimes I'll wake up and in the middle of the night and feel like I'm missing an assignment. I'm not even in school. And so we kind of figured out that
I feel that way all the time.
That college is truly one of the most stressful times of your life.
I feel that every morning when I wake up. I'm like, what did I forget today?
I'll still do that. I'm like, I still feel like I need to complete an assignment. I'm like, I'm not even in school.
Exactly.
But that just proves that college is a stressful time. So, I mean, just learning how to be in solitude and also not feel alone in that moment of solitude helps.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I felt the same way in my life. On times when I'm struggling, just the biggest thing that helps me is finding that person, where it's a mentor or just people around me. They're going to surround me with the truth, and because it doesn't mean life's going to be easy, but just like it says in John 16 verse 33, where it says, "In this life we will face troubles, but take heart, for God has overcome this world." Just having those friends that can point us towards someone that can help us overcome and rise above those situations, like you said, can help all of us in this walk. That no matter how hard anything gets, that we can rise above, but only when we go to Christ and realize that a verse I was thinking of when you're talking about how like times were hard without Christ, but how He was always still there is John 13:7, where it says, "These things you don't know about right now, but later you will understand." And someone told me about this the other day, that God actually, or Jesus told His disciples that right before He's about to go on the cross. And I love that, because there's so many things that everyone knows that when we face in life, we just don't know what's going to happen. But like the encouragement that Will, and I like, it's cool to say your own name, like the encouragement that Will, not me, but Will over here said, man, when you're facing those hard times, man, surround yourself with those people that are going to help you, point you towards Christ, because it doesn't mean your situation is going to go smoothly, but what it does mean is Christ will always provide a fulfillment that you just can't find anywhere of this world. And what I thought of kind of for like a theme of this podcast is like in life, like don't just make your life about your score, whether it's a sport or your occupation in your job or whatever you're doing in the moment, but rather make it about Christ, because that's really the only one that will fulfill you and give you strength for times where you don't feel like you can have strength to rise above. But with Christ, you always can rise above. And I can't thank you enough for being on with us today, Will, and looking forward to following your future ahead. And hopefully we'll look up on the TV and see you in the Masters in a few years.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here. I feel honored.
Yes, sir.
You followed me on Instagram a while back, I checked out your podcast. I was like, man, this is awesome. So what you're doing is really neat.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you too. It was crazy when you texted me, because we actually needed someone we had someone for the next couple weeks to record with, but we looking for someone for this week, because I was like, man, this is like, obviously it wasn't God texting me, but this is like God putting you in there right at the right time. But
it worked out great, and I'm glad it happened.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah.